'Tis I, your old pal King Chuck. I hope you're having a kick-ass day. We're having some weather issues here in Grand Rapids. Right now it's 68 degrees. And it was 70 yesterday, 70 and sunny. I actually took my dog to the park. And then what happened was I came home. Anyway, long story short, I went to bed later that night. And I had some pretty interesting dreams. I dreamt that I worked in a building that had once belonged to Charlie Chaplin. Yeah, the legendary actor and comedian. And then I had a dream that what happened was I was in a building with a group of young people, and somebody handed me over a $25 gift card. And it was somebody I knew, but for some reason he knew me, but we never met each other. It was kind of weird. And so what happened was we ended up, but then the dream started to end when somebody told the whole crowd. So you might be wondering why you all got this gift card. Well, as you know, Mel Karmazin passed away yesterday. Mel Karmazin was the head of CBS Radio and Infinity Broadcasting. He was Howard Stern's old boss. And that was when the dream ended, because it was 1:30 at night and my dog started to bark at me. She knew the thunderstorm was on its way. And it's like, animals sometimes tend to have their own system of detecting when a storm is coming. And my dog is no exception to the rule. So anyway, I ended up, we ended up having a little snuggle session for a while, and she was jittery, and, she's not easy to sleep with, unfortunately. I like a nice cool bed. I'm so used to nice cool beds and and I know, in the last several, years, I've only slept with a few women, and they tend to be very hot in bed. But, anyway, about 4:30 she left my bed, and, it was like, good. Nice cool bed again. Yeah, anyway. We're going from... Bee-otches of the day. 2 people are getting the esteemed award. The 2 people, by the way, are Chilli from the group TLC and Nick Cannon, the comedian. So Nick Cannon said something beyond idiotic on his podcast the other day, and he said that the Democratic Party is the party of the Ku Klux Klan. What the fuck, dude? Ku Klux Klan, the KKK? So, the right wing of America loves to compare the Democratic Party to the KKK. And I'll tell you why. It's because 170 years ago, the Democrats were indeed the party of the Klan. And then, came the Republicans. The Republican Party was actually born right here in Michigan. And they elected, Abraham Lincoln to be the presidential nominee. And, of course, he became president and he freed the slaves. But, as time wore on, the Democrats became the Republicans and the Republicans became the Democrats. And the Republicans, their story is that they, because of people like Trump and the Bushes and all that, you look at Trump and what he's doing to his own party. And the fact that in his cabinet, he's only got one black person, and as the Secretary of HUD, the House of Housing and Urban Development. So anyway, that's exactly why people, some people are like, why are you black and standing up for Trump? And meanwhile, you have Chilli from TLC, the legendary 1990s R&B group, No Scrubs and Waterfalls, don't go chasing waterfalls. So anyway, she made an idiot. So this is what happened. She wrote a letter on her social media that explained the fact that she was not a mega person. She's not very political. And the problem is that, get this, tax records from her home state of Georgia have shown she has given $1,000 to pro-mega groups. And not only that, she uses her social media account to like the fact that Donald Trump is president, and she also liked Charlie Kirk stuff. So this is what happened. Guess who wrote a little letter to both Chilli and Nick? Uncle Luke. That's right, Luther Campbell from the Two Live crew. So the story was, Uncle Luke wrote a letter. By the way, he's running for Congress in his home state of Florida. He wrote that he talked about the fact that he was a First Amendment guy and he fought for First Amendment rights. And it was true, There was a judge in Florida, of course he was the leader of Two Live crew, me so horny, as nasty as they want to be. And what happened was, as nasty as they want to be, this judge from Florida had, as nasty as they want to be, taken off store shelves, all because he didn't like the lyrics. He felt it was too obscene and too X-rated. He felt that the lyrics were not just for people under 18. They were not suitable for anybody. So what happened was, it led to a giant First Amendment issue that went straight to the Supreme Court, and Luther won. And folks, Luther Campbell went to jail just because he performed songs from that album. And what's amazing is how some people are so fucking stupid to realize, and they wanted to shove their religion down our throats, and and rock and roll. What's sad is, you look at rock and roll, the history of rock and roll music from the 1950s onward, and they've tried to stop it because it was black people music, and a lot of it was R&B and some by black people, and of course you look at the history from that in the 50s all the way up to the 80s, when they people like Tipper Gore tried to censor rock music, and all the religious right people wanted to stop heavy metal music because they thought it was all satanic. And what's funny is that nowadays I look at some groups and some music acts, and they're all in the world of metal and hard rock, and some of these people are Christian and some of them are very right-wing. Godsmack, for an example. Sully Erna is, he made a post years ago saying that he was not a fan of Joe Biden. He felt that Joe Biden would be the most dangerous president in our lifetime. No, it's not true. It's Trump. And he came out as pretty much a Trump supporter. And not only that, he was also anti-abortion because of the song Bad Religion. I thought Bad Religion was actually about organized religion in general, but it turned out that it was actually about abortion. and it was an anti-abortion song. And then many years ago, you had, a Christian band called Skillet, and Skillet's lead singer went up again. He basically, put the smack down on Cardi B because of her song WAP, W-A-P, Wet Ass Pussy. And it was all because he felt that, he was angry that song went straight to #1, and he was crying that everything that was not acceptable back then is now acceptable. And I mean, dude, first of all, Skillet sucks. They're just a nut. And not only that, I think the only time I've seen them perform on TV, it was on Fox Fake News Channel. But Luther Campbell is right. He put the smacketh downeth on these people for the fact that they support an agenda called MAGA. And what MAGA does is that it, now they're saying, that everything that black people have worked hard on for so long is bad. Oh, we can't have, we can't teach our kids slavery anymore because slavery was actually a good thing. And we can't, promote the hiring of people of color because black people are lazy and stupid. And, folks, my shop just hired a black man recently. I wouldn't call him young. He's about my age. But he's a father, and, he's trying to make it on his own and all that good stuff. And, he did screw up big time on a job for us. But, he learned from his mistakes, and, he has improved. I mean, but then here's what else happened. They hired a white guy to do his job with him. He was even worse. And he just, he quit yesterday. He was terrible. And I'm like, good fucking riddance. Not only that, he was a gross man, too. Because he was, I saw him get out of a bathroom, the men's bathroom at our shop. He didn't even wash his hands after taking a shit. I hate people who don't wash their fucking hands, period, end of story. So, Luther is right, folks. We have fought diligently for freedom of speech, and we have fought for African American rights over the years. And not only that, Luther is actually on the right side of history because of this reason. In a radio interview many years ago, Luther admitted that he was at Mar-a-Lago one day and for a huge party. And then what happened was at about 10 o'clock at night or so, later in the evening, a bunch of underage girls came into the building, came into Mar-a-Lago, and some of them went into rooms with other men. Luther did the right thing and left. He knew that what was going down at Mar-a-Lago was illegal. And this is why he gets angry at any black person who stands up for Trump. Because Donald Trump wants to tell the black people that they suck and they're useless. He is a very hurtful man, and it's sad when I see a black person stand up for him. Why? After all the shit that he's done over the years. And it breaks my heart when a black person tells me something stupid that Trump would love. As a matter of fact, I even had a black acquaintance many years ago who actually told me that he wanted America to go into another war because every time we had a war in this country, the economy improves. Okay, dude, Were you even alive during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars? No. Worst. We ended up in a recession. One of the worst recessions in our history. And now, with gas prices over $4 a gallon, and the fact that Trump is lying to us and manipulating the stock markets, we're manipulating oil prices, folks, we know the truth. And the truth is, we're all going to struggle. So, you know something, folks? This is why I love Luke Campbell. And I hope that he can win. I mean, there's too many Republicans in Florida anyway. I mean, it is a very fucked up state. And I hope that, we get this blue wave in to tell people like Chilli and Nick Cannon, your jig is up, man. When you stand on the wrong side of history, you're going to get fucked. Period. End of story. So, there you have it. I hope that we have this blue wave in November, and I just hope that people will wake up. Wake the fuck up, people. Quit acting stupid. Okay. I gotta get going. I got stuff I gotta do today. So, good day and good luck. I'll talk to you later.